Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and everything that we've been talking about for so long is coming to fruition right now. The Great Reset agenda, the full scale of it is being rolled out in real time, and we are living through a very historic period here as we see massive shortages. Wheat spread blows out as drought chaos plagues America's breadbasket. Of course, we've been talking about this as well as with the Strait of Hormuz and the DHL CEO warning of a prolonged energy shock that could push the global economy to a tipping point. Well, it's a good thing that they're rolling out perfectly, by the way, in the same exact time as this, the same time frame, and this has been planned for years, the new system of UBI, digital IDs, social credits, etc. In fact, the Canadian government has already been rolling out social credit for quite some time, as has the UK, as has the European Union, and of course with the United States with their 5-year social media history mandate to enter the country. And Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, has something interesting to say about this.
New jobs will be created, but old jobs will be lost. And the question is, what happens to the people in those jobs? Are they ready for the new jobs? How do you get them ready for the new jobs? And look, the lesson of previous industrial revolutions, and we are entering 2 industrial revolutions at the same time. This is
Interesting, the digital system.
Sustainable revolution and the AI revolution. The lesson of previous industrial revolutions is what happens is that you go through a long period with huge change of jobs and industries, and that workers are slow to benefit from the benefits of those new industries.
And we are going to go into further what he is saying here later on in the video, because it encapsulates exactly what Elon Musk is pushing at the same time as the exact same thing that the World Economic Forum is pushing. So no shock there, my friends. They are getting ready to force us into that ration-based system and give you ration-based foods, and it's up to you to reject, stand up, and get prepared today. So before we get into this, I urge people to get 25% off when you use code WAM, W-A-M, over at heavensharvest.com. This is just a no-brainer, my friends. For long-term storable foods that are non-GMO, there's organic kits, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, books on how to get started, freeze-dried food. Again, with code WAM, W-A-M, you will get 25% off. So when you look at a big price here, first of all, larger serving sizes than most of these companies. It is, of course, good food. It is organic, much of it, if you go for the organic packs. Either way, it's all non-GMO, and it's something that you're already saving money on versus inflation today, but then you get another 25% off. We're doing everything we can to get people to actually jump on this so that they are prepared down the line. So that all comes down to you, my friends, and that is one of the major solutions to push back against this system, which wants you eating that Bill Gates food in the future in ration lines. Don't allow yourself to be waiting and putting this off until this happens. Also, check out our new link in the description for Medicamentum Authentica Shilajit. So this is amazing stuff by Dr. Andrew Kaufman. When you use code WAM10, W-A-M-10, you'll get 10% off on these products, including this amazingly well-sourced, ethically sourced, and harvested at 1,600 feet Shilajit, which, again, it's been tested rigorously for all the toxic stuff, heavy metals, fillers, etc., which most companies will not do. And of course, with this, you get a bonus pre-priming protocol to accelerate and amplify your results. 35-day try it, feel it, love it, guarantee. Again, that's at our link in the description for the Medicamentum Authentica Shilajit, and you can use code WAM10, W-A-M-10. Now, let's get into this. So, wheat spread blows out as drought chaos plagues America's breadbasket. We've seen the things that have been piling on to the already existing problem of the supply chain crisis. Again, they went after the farms. They went after the Dutch farms. They decided that it would be a good idea to get rid of 50% of the farms in the second top agricultural exporting country in the world, in the Netherlands. They've been well on their way to getting to achieving this goal as they're pushing the net zero agenda everywhere else, as they're going after farmers in Ireland and in France and in all these other places throughout the world, including in the United States. Yes, even under the Republican governments, there are severe restrictions that continue to hurt farmers. And with these tariffs and with these shortages and with the fertilizer shortage that we're seeing from the Strait of Hormuz right now, across the board, we're seeing not only just prices skyrocketing, which will continue to happen, that is just a basic economics 101, but we're seeing also the collapse of production, and also with the diesel shortages and everything, trucks lining up in many countries, mandates already put in effect in many countries, including Australia and elsewhere, where they have limits on how much you can actually get. Now, this is back and forth, and of course, with the rhetoric right now, oh, everything is okay. The market tries to correct itself in, I would say, extremely stupid way, because the correction of the market from going down to then up because Trump says something doesn't match the actual production, the actual shipments, the actual supply, which could cause an even bigger bubble, a bigger problem to explode. Of course, the United States has been in a recession since 2008. It's been papered over time. This idea that we are going into a recession is nonsense, because we already are in one. But what we're seeing right now is, it's really important to understand, it's a manufacturer crisis to force people into the new system. In fact, we have Mark Carney, which we'll go into further later, saying that Canada's creating a new world order with China with this $1 trillion trade deal. China was just caught trying to ship weapons, according to the U.S., to Iran, which again is just all part of the scripted move to cause this false flag narrative to shift power from the West to the East, which has been in the playbook since the 1970s, when Henry Kissinger met with Mao and created this alliance with China to prop them up as a guinea pig state for technocracy and prop them up for trade. Of course, the Trilateral Commission was a major part of that. That was one of their main goals, is to prop up China as that guinea pig state. And then the COVID stuff happens. The Sesame Credit came out around 2012 to 2014 in China. Now they're doing it everywhere else. It's just basic 101 technocracy. Create a problem, get a reaction, come in with a solution. The solution causes more problems. It's a Hegelian dialectic. Now, what we're seeing also with this crisis is a move towards just BRICS countries in general, with, of course, Russia benefiting greatly from the oil situation, despite the United States acting like they are restricting Russia. It's very combative what the U.S. is doing with Russia and taking their tankers from Venezuela and then blaming it on Iran and saying, oh, the Hezbollah is in Iran, or is working with Iran in places like Margarita Island in Venezuela. They use this as a reason to then seize their oil. It's absolute nonsense. I've been talking to people from the island of Margarita in Venezuela. There are no Islamic people whatsoever there. It's such nonsense. The narrative is stupid. They're going after this stuff similarly in Mexico. They're going after it in Cuba. They're going after Colombia. They're going after Honduras. They're going after a lot of these countries right now, and we have to keep our eye on it, because this is part of the same agenda. So when we see the breadbasket go down on top of this, and then we see the bird flu thing come in, and they say, oh, look, we have to cut off, or we have to massacre all these chickens, and they don't get to the grocery shelves. We see the prices go up. We see the shortages. We see the issue with shipping. We see less people shipping things. We see the collapse of the supply chain in general, which is what they want, which is exactly why I put things like Heaven's Harvest in the description, but we won't go back to that right away. Again, hard red winter wheat futures widen to their largest premium over soft red wheat in more than 2 years, as severe drought intensifies across key breadbasket regions in the Great Plains and Midwest. This means traders are pricing in weather impact and tightening expectations for higher protein wheat supplies. I mean, to me, this is absolutely insane. Because this is, again, when they say breadbasket, I mean, literally, this is a breadbasket. This is the base of all major foods in the country. It says it's important to note that HRW is a more valuable protein and primarily used in bread, rolls, and all-purpose flour. It is grown in the U.S. Plains, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, while SRW is used in cakes, cookies, crackers, and pastries, and is grown in the eastern U.S., Ohio Valley, Midwest, Southeast. And it says the blowout in the HRW-SRW spread, the biggest premium in 2 years, is mainly due to weather stress as drought grips the central U.S. market. The central U.S., the market is currently pricing in possible supply imbalances and quality concerns for HRW. So now, again, we see these similar issues all the time with these droughts, and now they're saying there's going to be massive heat in some regions and massive cold in some regions. And it's also convenient when you can actually manipulate the weather, which we've seen, which they have acknowledged that they do. And it's always so convenient when this is happening in the middle of a supply chain crisis. As of mid-April, 61% of the lower 48 is in drought as the northern hemisphere growing season begins and farmers start planting. According to NOAA, this equates to nearly 149 million people across the lower 48 affected by drought. About 45 states were experiencing moderate drought conditions as of last week. Now, again, this is all happening as the drought is complicating things for ranchers, as the nation's cattle herd is already at its lowest level since the 1950s. As something I've reported on, something I did a speech on at Acapulco, which I'm actually wearing the shirt for conveniently enough right now, where in my speech on stage, I talked about this 53-year cattle head shortage is now 54 years, because we're going back to 1952 specifically, when there was about 1 billion people on planet Earth versus now 8.5. Some people say that's a conservative estimate. It could be as high as 11 billion. Point is, then versus now, that's like an 8 to 11 times increase in the problem. So not only is it a record versus that time, we have a lot more people on Earth. So this is a massive shortage. And again, by design, they don't want you eating meat. They want you eating the fake stuff. Even though the fake stuff goes into bankruptcy all the time, no one wants to actually eat the fake stuff. The reality is, when it's mandated, it won't matter. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more later as well, because I do have some examples of how that is already the case, already ready to be forced on you. DHL CEO warns prolonged energy shock could push global economy to tipping point. I've done a lot of videos as of recently, well, lots on the supply chain, lots on the grid situation as well, because again, as Trump calls for the new war economy, we are seeing the effects, the likes of which we've never seen before on the grid. As we see the Iran war perpetuate. And again, I've done a lot of stuff on this recently, from the social credit to the CBDC launch through X Money, which is through XAI, and then the Pentagon and all that kind of stuff, pushing for a complete control system over the currency. But of course, I've also done a lot on the grid. If my internet works enough to load another page here, there we go. Over on Rumble, I urge people to go follow us there. If you're watching on band.video, by the way, that's about to go down, so please make sure to follow us on other platforms. Anyway, okay, so let me see here. I should have it immediately here if I can find it. Well, okay, panic buying. We've seen a lot of that happening. I can't find it. The point is, just go look at my channel. I've done tons of stuff on the grid, including very recently, and for whatever reason, I can't find it. Energy lockdowns and Iran war. Okay, there's one example. Because actually, that's something that I should mention here. There are pushes for actual energy lockdowns to stop people from driving, to stop people from flying, to stop people from buying a certain amount of food. This is stuff that's actually been pushed on countries worldwide right now, something that is being mandated in some places. Again, I don't have the article up on my screen today for you, but that is a real thing, and I've been doing videos on it for quite some time. But this is something that major think tanks and people that work directly with governments worldwide, including Western governments, including the United States, including Europe, have said they plan to do very soon, which actually interlocks with the United Nations Pact for the Future, which I'll get into later as well. Another example of how they're already forcing these mandates on people. But this energy shock is reaching that tipping point. And again, yeah, will it destroy the global economy? Absolutely. It'll destroy the dollar, which was always, part of the agenda. They, again, propped up China to eventually replace it with that new system under the guise of competing against the dollar, which is not exactly what is happening here. that is a very, very much exaggerated move. This idea that they're fighting, it's all fake, it's all veneer, it's all just for the public to fawn over, while in reality it was always planned, and they are pulling the rug out for this new Eastern-based digital system. So again, this, by the way, DHL Group CEO says the 10 to 12 million barrels of crude oil per day, it'll come to that tipping point. Solutions are needed, and political momentum is building up to resolve the situation in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, everything that's happening in the Strait of Hormuz is perfectly in line with the agenda. Again, we have this. Europe has 5 months a supply of jet fuel, Dutch government says. The Dutch government said it is explicitly considering a further deterioration of the situation and is preparing for it. How much can you actually prepare for this kind of stuff? Again, this is all by design. They are purposely destroying that system. And by the way, the Dutch government, which used to be headed up by Mark Rutte, who's now in NATO, is one of the most obvious examples worldwide of a government that is pushing the World Economic Forum agenda forward and the net zero agenda to a great degree, as I talked about earlier with the, of course, restriction on farmers, but that's just the beginning of it. Doug Casey, someone we've had on our show several times before, a really interesting guy, is saying on the Strait of Hormuz, the dollar is collapsing. The coming energy crisis will be really bad, and he has 60 something years of knowledge on this situation and wants people to prepare. Again, he's one of the inspirations behind many freedom fighters out there. Also one of the tallest people I've ever met. But anyway, just another example of more people trying to warn us, more people that are extremely intelligent trying to warn us. Speaking of warning, I have this article that I have in my bookmarks. Thank goodness my computer saved my bookmarks. My laptop crashed and I had to get a new one. I'm going to be away still for a few days, by the way, because the cord that I got with my new laptop is faulty, and they say it could take a week or two to get a new one. So I'm using computer stores just for a couple days and then have to give it back later today. It's all a whole thing. I won't get into it, but it's very difficult for me to make videos right now. Everything's going wrong. Anyway, I had this in my bookmarks, which luckily got saved, and it's from Natural News back from April 26th of 2023, so almost exactly 3 years ago. New York City to unleash food police to limit residents' consumption in the name of climate justice. Now, that was under Eric Adams. Of course, we have Mamdani now, but this is something I warned about. This is part of the idea of they want to restrict people based on what they eat and control people through this ration-based system, and this is a real thing. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to open city-owned grocery stores. Now, this is from Breitbart from 14 September of 2023. So I've been following this story for quite some time, my friends, and here we have Mamdani's municipal grocery store plan, which is real, which is planning to come in by 2029 and is costing hundreds of millions of dollars to do, or actually by opening late 2027, not 2029. There's another store coming in 2029. But the point is, hundreds of millions of dollars to build a store, which is absurd. Why not just feed people, give people food? But of course, that's not the point. They want to get people ready for this system, just like they have with the Amazon stores, which aren't governmental, but have the same idea, where people scan their hand, scan their phone to even enter the store. And there's no employees. And it's all AI based. Again, they are priming everyone for this new system. And I've also mentioned articles like this from September of 2024. Arm yourself. Persecuted former FBI specialist urges Americans to stock up on food and prepare for hardships. It's archived now, but I have gone into it in past videos in length and basically telling you to arm yourself and stock up on storable foods because they are planning something big. This is a whistleblower from the FBI that came out and said this. Now, interestingly, Elon Musk, who claims that sorry, this video is going to keep loading and playing music. So Elon Musk, who says that AI is going to destroy humanity, he's one of the number one people rolling it out. He says that AI will destroy most jobs in the coming years, but he says, don't worry, you could have a universal basic income. He's doubled down on it. April 17th of this year, he said once again that he wants UBI to offset inflation and issues with job losses by AI. He's the one developing it, and this is exactly what the World Economic Forum has been pushing. Again, my friends, this is 100% what I've been warning of, and people still go, oh, well, Elon Musk is like, he's a goat, he's based, he's doing, like, it's such an obvious Trojan horse. He says everything that the World Economic Forum wants, and while pretending that he's like against trans kids and stuff, he's creating transhumanism on the next level of that, even worse than that, for Neuralink, which is attached to your brain, a chip in your brain attached to a Pentagon-funded mesh network. He has said recently in the video I just posted about, I guess, a month ago, new CBDC launched Elon Musk's X money and a new energy lockdowns. In that video, I talk about this very thing because Elon Musk himself says that the X money system will be a money for everything, a control of everything. You don't need a government CBDC, central bank digital currency, when you have things like Visa and MasterCard, which aren't mandated but are impossible to avoid. What they will do is they will, with these quasi corporations, which are really just parts of the state but getting around the Constitution, will force these systems on us so it's unavoidable. X money is attached to X, a social media network which has everyone's information and tracks everyone at all times, attached to XAI, which is a parent company which bought out X about a year and a bit ago. XAI is working on this universal basic income and has Pentagon contracts and is working with like Palantir and helping with surveillance, which also leads to children being drone bombed and stuff by Palantir drones. What are people not getting? How are people not getting that this is all being put together into one basket? And they're pushing the same thing, and they say, oh, well, Trump is ending the new world order, or Trump is ending the old world order. Well, yeah, you have to destroy the old one to bring in the new one, which he's doing with his social credit system, which basically says if you enter the country, you will have to show 5 years of social media history, 10 years of email, photo metadata, iris scans, biometrics of all kind. I mean, it's really, really crazy, and I urge people to check out my 2 videos on this new CBDC launch and social credit launch on my channel, because I really want people to understand the nuance of this issue, which I go into in depth in those videos. But alas, Elon Musk is pushing UBI. So is Mark Carney. So let's finish the video that I started playing at the beginning. What is his issue? What is he going to do about people losing their jobs? Well, let's hear what Prime Minister Mark Carney, who just called for a new world order in Canada, has to say about this.
Now, that doesn't have to be the case. And what happens is that eventually people get retrained. Eventually new social safety net and welfare systems are put in place to support people. But it happens decades after the fact. The political process lags. I think we should benefit from that knowledge, that history, and do this in real time.
Yeah. Okay, so the political system's so bad that it takes years. It's manufactured to be inefficient, my friends, because then they say, well, it's so bad, let's get the digital technology, the digital beast, to do everything for us.
It therefore has to be part and parcel of the growth strategy. So a huge element of this is necessarily going to have to be around the skills agenda, and the skills agenda in real time, and make these changes not threatening for people, but legitimately exciting for people, because they have the opportunity to develop the skills that, are in the clean economy, are applying AI across a huge range of those economies, and they're growing their jobs from there. And that means, it means multiple levels of government, as you can appreciate, because the skills is not unique to any level of government. And it means being coordinated with industry. It means coordinated with other stakeholders. And I think it also means, and this is, I don't think I'll draw this out in the report, but it's a broader question. You've thought about this is, well, what does it mean for social welfare and support? Because ideally, look, what's happening, not ideally what's happening, but what is likely to happen is, you have people in their 30s or 40s, and the industry is changing.
So there you have Mark Carney basically pushing universal basic income, social supports, as he calls them. This is the same thing. Workers impacted by AI. As I wrote on Exit at World Alt Media, this is exactly what I've been warning of. Also exactly what the World Economic Forum has been pushing as a way to create a social credit / digital ID system. Also what people like Elon Musk have been pushing. Beware. Well, again, and look at this, 666 views on that. Wow. Well, and by the way, which is ridiculous because I have a 35,100 followers.
New jobs will be created, but old jobs.
It's replaying there. Okay, but again, it's just so absurd, and it's from a place called UBI Works on X. which has 20,000 followers, but I'm sure it gets way more viewership than I do because it's being pushed by the boss of X, which is Elon Musk again. And we have Mark Carney, who is he's been a central banker twice. He knows what he's talking about, which is exactly why he's so dangerous, because he's going to sit there looking like a nice elderly guy with his closed collared shirt on, acting like he's just a nice old guy trying to find solutions. He's almost dressed like a tech bro. Absolute nonsense. And you're going to do these podcasts. I know the Canadian government. I know it well. I know that you can't just ask people questions as a prime minister in Canada. You have to have it all pre-screened and written by them. I know that because I've also been arrested for asking questions that weren't what they asked me to ask in past events, like with Justin Trudeau, where I ended up calling him famously a scumbag. That's all. If you type in scumbag Trudeau on Google, you will see a lot of that. But again, I know it's all fake, and I know it's all pre-written and pre-planned. So it's just, oh, look at us. We're like Trump and the new right sitting there talking on podcasts. Like, no, you aren't. This is all fake. And this is happening as Canada has for some time been rolling out a social credit system. Citizens' bank accounts are being linked to obedience scores. And again, we have that at the same time as we have the United Nations Pact for the Future, which I've been warning of for a year and a half now. So September of 2024, September 22nd, 2024, it was signed on to by 193 countries, including your country, yes, obviously, which includes if you criticize the government or policies, you can have your bank account shut down. You will be attached to rations based on your social credit score and digital ID. Since then, they have, well, around the same time, they did the Basel III situation where 63 central banks signed on to Basel III to basically have it so that your bank can be bailed in at any time, which means they could just take the money out of your bank and steal it and not give it back, which they're doing already to political dissidents and stuff on the regular in the United States. And again, extremely dangerous situation there because that is is precedent setting, obviously. And they, have rolled out the digital ID in the UK, but they say it's to stop mass migration. But they created the mass migration in the first place. They've doubled down on it. They continue to double down on it. But then they say, oh, it's mandated for migrants. But don't worry, in the future, you will have to use it too. But it won't be mandatory. It'll be voluntary. The only thing is if you don't use it, you won't be able to drive. You won't be able to go to work. You won't be able to eat. You won't be able to have a bank account. You won't be able to do anything. That sounds pretty mandatory. But, oh, no, it's not mandatory because you could choose to just opt out of society and be homeless. Like, it's just so sick. Oh, and if you're in Canada, don't worry. If you're impoverished, you could kill yourself with the MAID program, Medical Assistance in Death program. I mean, like, it's so evil. It's so evil on every level. And that's exactly what we're seeing roll out here. So they're pushing you to the breaking point. They're causing poverty. They're bringing in the new system. They're destroying the supply chain. They're destroying the energy grid. They're using war to kill people and to reset the system and cause chaos, order out of chaos. And they're creating this overlapping situation where we see power shift from the west to the east into the new technocracy and these 15-minute cities and these ration policies. There's no doubt in my mind that this is exactly what is happening right now. And, we've been proven right, unfortunately, for many, many years on this subject, and it just continues to happen, and yet we're still called black-pilled, we're called crazy, we're called negative, and it's like they're openly acknowledging what they're doing. And you don't see the correlation between the left and the right here. The left pushing the climate policies and technocracy and UBI, and the right pushing, biometrics and social credit, which the left is as well, obviously, but then under the guise of stopping the mass migration and everything, and then bringing in UBI as well and restrictions on free speech if you're an anti-Semite over here or if you're a transphobe over there. I mean, it's all part of the same censorship system. The real censorship won't be of what you say. It won't be of anything that you write on social media. That's just a testing ground for this. The real censorship will be of the human mind, of the human spirit, of the human independence. It'll push people into a state of dependence so great, the likes of which we've never seen before, under this new world order. And that new world order, of course, will be transhumanism, complete AI surveillance and control, and digital IDs, food rations, social credit, carbon credit scores, all these things that they're actively rolling out right now. Augustus Carson said that 2025 would be the year that things go digital. We're a little late on it, but we've seen the digital euro get rolled out last year, technically in trial phase. And of course, we're seeing it happen with the pound as well right now. So all this stuff is happening, and with Trump's new security apparatus and the FISA bill that he just pushed for everyone to sign on to, I think it's 702, he pushed this out. And it allows people to be warrantlessly spied on, surveilled. They have the cameras all over the interstate system in the United States with facial recognition. He's working with Peter Thiel. He's working with Alex Karp. He's working with Sam Altman. That's why he's made these massive AI deals. Second day in office, $500 billion towards AI. I mean, and then $1 trillion more in the big, beautiful bill. So much for not spending. So much for being anti-war. So much for punishing those in the Epstein files. So much for, basically everything that he ran on. No more surveillance. I mean, do you feel like you're winning yet? It has nothing to do with presidents, though. I have to make it very abundantly clear. No matter who you vote for, this will not change. And if someone tried to change it, they'd be killed. This is a system that only can be rejected from you as an individual withdrawing from it, withdrawing dependence on it. And the only way you can do that is not being dependent on grocery stores, not being dependent on banks, not being dependent on the systems that, what are you most dependent on that's out of your hands in your life? Look around. What are the things that are the most out of your hands that you're dependent on? Could it be the grid? Could it be the food system? Look at that, and that is how you figure out how to slowly withdraw from the system and not be held, essentially shanghaied and imprisoned by that dependence later on, when they say the only way that you'll be able to do anything is if you bow to us and do as we say now, because your money's all in the bank, because your food's all in the grocery store and it runs out of food fast, and we're going to ration that to you, and we're only going to give you unhealthy things and give unhealthy things to your children. When that's a system, that's obviously the number one goal, is to withdraw from that so that they cannot control that part of you later on. So, as always, my friends, I'm going to end this off saying what I always do. Prepare yourself. This is the tool in which you can use to withdraw from this system. HeavensHarvest.com, when you use code WHAM, W-A-M, you will get 25% off on this, on long-term storable food that's non-GMO. There's organic kits, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, books on how to get started, of course, freeze-dried foods, all this kind of stuff. Good, high-quality stuff. So they can't say, haha, you want food? Take the jab. Get on your knees. Don't put yourself in a situation later on where, oh, well, maybe last second I'll be able to do this. I'll sit on my hands. No, you won't. This isn't how these things work. You need to get on this now, because it could happen at any moment. And those that got it 2 years ago are still just as good, because it's a 25-year shelf life on this stuff. But we know that things are closing in now, obviously. So don't wait until it's too late. So HeavensHarvest.com, code WHAM, W-A-M, and that's 25%. Withdraw from the banking system as much as humanly possible, my friends. FirstNationalBullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link, not a shortened version. It's in the description of the video in full. And there you could avoid the CBDC system, the digital ID system, the obviously inflationary issues, the collapsing banks that are bankrupt, and the collateralization of which will create this new system of banking. Don't depend on your bank. If you go to this link, you could buy physical gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, hold it in your hands, put it in a vault, or put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Talk with someone who's actually trusted in this and has done it for decades. Schedule an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzalez and get a complimentary investors package with him as well. Mark is a good friend of ours. We do many videos together. Let him know in the comments of the forum when you sign up that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WHAM, W-A-M. Very important going forward. As always, my friends, health is important too. Check out our link for Medicamentum Authentica from Dr. Andrew Kaufman for Shilajit, which is absolutely amazing stuff. And again, if you use code WHAM10, W-A-M-10, you'll get 10% off on your order. Of course, we have vni.life/wham, W-A-M, where you can get a bunch of super supplements today. And you, of course, can also, I believe on this, you could use code WHAM15, W-A-M-15, and get 15% off on your order. The links are in the description. The codes are in the description. Protovite's absolutely amazing. I urge people to go and check these out below. Of course, as always, we have our link for WaveWatch 2.2. Pre-order, well, actually, you don't have to pre-order. It's all already out. But 1,250 frequencies on this. No Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or EMFs. If you use code WHAM, W-A-M, you'll save over $100 on this. And again, it helps you soothe your nerves, boost energy, enhance cellular function, improve sleep. It's endorsed by people like Dr. Brian Artist and Dr. Motley. I urge people to go and check that out. Go and follow us on Upscroll, the new censorship-free social media at World Alt Media. And of course, thank you so much to those who have donated. I mean, we seriously could not survive without you, John. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who has made it possible for us to continue, because right now we've never been more bankrupt. Now, on top of my laptop and my phone going down on the same day, and my charger going down on the same day, I got a new laptop which cost thousands of dollars, and then on the same day as that, my charger, the cord they gave me with it is faulty, so I can't even use it. So my laptop's going to be dead. I'm going to post this video, and I have to bring back the borrowed cord I got from the computer store, which they were nice enough to let me have over the weekend, and get this back to them. So I don't know when the next time I'll be able to make a video is, because I can't do it if I'm unable to charge my laptop. So it's just one thing after another. I'm talking to MSI trying to get my cord expedited. I don't know. They're saying it could take weeks. Absolute nightmare. They don't sell the kind of plugin that I need at any store. I've looked. So anyway, thank you to those who've helped support us, and we want to get as much done as possible, but we've been up against a rock and a hard place. It's just been nonstop torture for us trying to get things done, but you guys help keep us alive, and I appreciate it. Our Patreon and Subscribe start $4.99 a month or more will get you exclusive content, including private messages, videos on questions based on questions that you might have. We have a PayPal address, ancientwonderstelevision@gmail.com. We have a Cointree link that you could check out here with a bunch of different cryptocurrencies, including privacy coins that you could donate in if you please. We have a Bitcoin address here that you could scan on the screen or check out in the description in text form. So go and check that out, and if you want to help support us that way, we appreciate it. And of course, we have a Teespring store with a bunch of merchandise. So as always, my friends, I really appreciate everyone watching. Find us on Telegram, Band.video, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, and Brighteon at World Alternative Media. We're on Hive, Steemit, and Vigilante.tv at Josh Sigurdson. And on the Bad Guys, TikTok and Instagram, World Alternative Media, Twitter and Getter at World Alt Media, and all the major podcast platforms except for Spotify, where, of course, we are banned. Hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. And as always, my friends, live freely, live by example. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.